That it? It's pretty bad when you get applauded for turning on your microphone, you know. Oh my goodness, I want to welcome all of you to CSO Parker. We are so absolutely delighted that you chose to be here today with us to celebrate. If you're here for the very first time, I just want to extend a special welcome to you. We won't have you raise your hand or stand up and give a speech or anything, because I know that's uncomfortable for some. But I do want you to know that you're absolutely welcome here. And at CSO Parker, as in all of the CSO churches, we welcome everyone with no exceptions. I am Dr. Vern Martin. I have the pleasure and the honor of speaking today. And I want us to begin now with a prayer, if you would, please. So let's just go within and acknowledge that there is one power and one presence that manages this universe, that orchestrates all the solar system, holding each particle in place, doing exactly what they're designed to do. And I know that as we gather this morning, even with the virus, we are connected, heart to heart and soul to soul. And more than that, I know that we are open to Spirit's message this morning through the music, through the meditation, through the reading, through our greeting with each other. And so I know right now that we are so blessed to have this time together in person, in God, in the divine. So let's just, within our own hearts, extend a huge gratitude to the source of all life for this opportunity to be here today and share with each other. This service is blessed, and so are we. And I invite you to join me in saying, "And so it is." whatever it says on there.
I ask you to feel your bodies in your chairs, to allow the presence of the divine to express itself as perfect, whole, and complete, right here and right now. Feeling your feet flat on the floor if you can. Allowing your body to feel one with the earth, to feel grounded in spirit. And allowing this solid strength to come up through your body, through the center of your body. Feeling the integrity of the divine guiding you, strengthening you, showing up as you, right here and right now. With the very next breath, recognizing that breath is the breath of the divine. That the same source that breathes your body, blinks your eyes, and grows your hair is the source that created all. And with that knowing, allowing yourself to be totally present, revealing the perfect health, the perfect wellness, the perfect essence of the divine in and through and as you, right here and right now. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your grace. And thank you for your walk. And so it is.
Peace, love. peace, light, love in me.
Today's reading is out of this thing called You, my favorite book on the planet. There's not a section in this book that's not highlighted in one color or another for me, so I had to go to the online version to be able to read it to you guys. It is wonderful to know that your good is at hand. Your night wanes. Your dawn is breaking. There is a living spirit at the center of your being. The original author of all life is in and around you. Not a God who was, but a God who is. This is the great secret which you share with life. Life is wherever you are. It revolves around you. It flows through you. Keep the doorway open. Keep your mind open. Feeling, thinking, communing with this life. Know that it fills you with light and with power. Learn to exchange fears, doubts, uncertainties for faith. Faith can make you whole. Faith can convert fear into certainty, poverty into riches, disease into health. Faith can lift you from a valley of despair into a mountain of hope and certainty. There's a power which flows out through your words of faith, which has the power to bring into your life everything you need. Jesus understood this. It was through this law that he healed the sick, he raised the dead, he gave sight to the blind, and he fed the multitudes. He said that anyone who believes can do what he was doing. He said that you can do it. This power is in you. It is where you are. It is yours, but it must be used.
So good to see you all. See those eyes smiling. Someday I'll see your smiles again, huh? The song we're going to do this morning is a special song. It's Bridge Over Troubled Water. And I think it's an interesting time that we're in, and it's going to take all of us being willing to lay down and probably carry somebody, one or two others. Anyway, I'm super happy to be here with all of you today. I'm glad you're here, and big hugs to everybody. When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry
Wow. Thank you so much, Alicia and the Parker CSO band. Great job. Well, what I was thinking about while I was sitting there, in addition to listening to the great music, is that I'm living proof that you don't have to be perfect to be human, you know? I realized I skipped all the announcements at the beginning. I forgot to introduce Dr. Yvonne Levy, who is with us sharing the platform today. So it's my time to atone for my sins, I guess. Also, before I start, I want to acknowledge Reverend Phil for the masterful job he did last month with his talk. What a great job. So we'll do the announcements toward the end for those of you who are concerned with that. So 2020, who could have guessed? Who could have guessed? The list goes on, and I'm sure each of you has your own list that you look at to describe some of the challenges that we face this day. But I want this morning, the purpose of my talk is to lift us out of the valley of the shadow of death into a higher place of great possibilities. And before I finish this morning, one of the things I want to do is leave you with what I think is an absolute wonderful statement of Dr. Holmes, and hopefully you can carry that with you throughout the weeks and the days ahead. Some years ago, I had an opportunity to fly out to eastern Colorado. I had a man that I knew who was an engineer, and he was interested in this whole concept of divining rods. Some of you have heard of this, where they used to try to find water wells back in the pioneer days.
Still do. Yeah, they do. Still do. We used one last week.
And it works. And so what he hired me to do was to fly him out over Cheyenne Wells and Burlington and that whole area where there are a lot of known oil wells. And instead of a willow switch or willow wood, I guess, is that what they're still using?
No. Copper.
Copper? Well, he had two steel rods, a single rod, and then it forked out like this. And he wanted to find out if one could discover oil from the air. Interesting concept, huh? So we flew out to Burlington, and at that time the airport was in the center of downtown, and it was a challenge to land in there, I'll tell you. But we went out south over where some oil wells were known to be. And we're flying along, and he was holding this thing, and it was just going like this when we got over an oil well. So he said, "Here, why don't you try it so you can see what it feels like?" And so he handed me this device. I'm flying the plane, remember? Hopefully. And I took a hold of it, and it went like that. It was such a strong impulse. And I thought, okay, now how does that story tie into good in the goo? It's because we find what we're looking for. And not many of us get such a clear sign as that divining rod there. But what we can do is we can learn to really stay open to receive the impulses of our spirit self. And what we know is that any challenge does not come from outside of us. It comes from inside. Our salvation, ladies and gentlemen, is an inside job. We don't need to look any further than this to find out the answers to the challenges that we have. You know, someone once said, let's not be so eager to be spiritual that we leave our humanity behind. And that really resonated with me. Now, some years ago, I have a lot of stories to tell because I'm eons in livelihood. Back in Lincoln, Nebraska, I was a 6th grade teacher for a while. And we had a thing in those days called modern math. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but instead of gazinta, we really were looking at what's the logic and the thinking behind the mathematical processes. And one of the things I remember from many, many years ago is that our computers are based on a binary system, A or B, 1 or 2. And it drives everything. Well, aren't we binary systems? We can look at something and say that's good or that's goo. And it's all a matter of perspective. What do we see? And we can either be reactive, which is sometimes quite painful, is it not? Or we can merely be observers of what's going on around us and not knee-jerk whatever it is. Someone once said our life is like holding the TV remote. We are in charge of the remote. But sometimes don't we forget, you and I, that we actually have the power of that remote in our very fingertips? And the power of that is our thought. So we can say good or goo. We can tune in to whatever channel we want to tune into. There is within us the thing that I would label our true north. Our true north is that alignment when we are completely 100% in sync with our spirit self. When we live, move, and have our beings in total alignment with the truth with a capital T. Now, do we forget sometimes who we are? Of course we do. Do we get distracted? All the time. And if you tell me otherwise, I will not believe you. So when I am in my life living and I'm hearing about the split in our country, when I hear about something that's not going well, do I get on that bandwagon or do I stop, take a breath, and look at the greater possibility that exists always? In the classes, I always like to call this, we can choose our own hell or we can choose our own heaven. Today I'm calling it good and goo because that's the title of the talk. By the way, I looked up the meaning of goo and it actually exists in the dictionary. Or I probably wouldn't have used it just because I like to be a little bit credible. But goo is that defined as that sticky substance. Now, you know, when we get in the goo, don't we get stuck there sometimes? So that's not a very erroneous statement. In a great book that's about the life and the works of Ernest Holmes, it is called Love and Law. I found this quote and this saying only in this piece of work by Ernest Holmes. And it was actually from when he would sit around with students and interested people, and they would dialogue about the meaning of life and all these spiritual things. And in this book, Love and Law, he defines something that for me completely changed the way I look at the world. And it was, you remember back, some of you are about as old as I am, but you remember a thing called a teeter-totter from the playgrounds? And you could walk and you could go up and it would tip one way or the other. Well, he took this into the spiritual realm and he said this: when a majority of our thinking is for health, of life, of power, of good, that day, that 51% is all it takes, will erase the other 49%. So if you want to look at a way to master life, we must master our thinking. Here's what happens, and I use myself because I'm fairly typical, I think, of how we process information. I look at myself and I look at all the weeds that I sow, all the goo that I pay attention to, all the stuff that I look at, and it adds up to great volumes. And here's where I was going with that. Many times, I will think a thought and something doesn't happen and I go, I give up. It hasn't happened. I thought the thought once and it hasn't happened. What's wrong? And what do? I abandon that thought because I think that thought isn't relevant. Well, if we do that cumulatively enough over time, then start to look at the 49, 51% thing going on in your life. Whoa. So 2020 has given us a lot of goo, has it not? So are we going to get stuck in the goo? And one of the ways that we get stuck is through this thing called fear. Fear can drive us into insane thinking. It can drive us to a place where we no longer are happy, joyful, delighted with life, and we start looking for what's around the corner. And here's what I want to tell you. If we are going to look at the good in life, we do it in advance. We cannot wait for the condition to show up. Oh my goodness, we have this going on now. Oh my gosh, I have another reason to be fearful. I'll put it on my stack. Now, what do you think's going to happen with my teeter-totter? Whoa. Now, there are some areas in our lives that are more challenging than others, like health is one, for example. And if I have a pain or something that's bothering me, it's really challenging to let go of that and look at the good. Oh, so what do I see determines my experience in life. And what I see is based on my own consciousness. Now I know Reverend Rick, by the way, I got an email from him a couple of days ago and he said to give you all his best. So anyway, he used to talk about how he never watched the news. And I can understand why. And aren't some of these things addictive? The fear thing itself is an addiction, I believe. Well, what I see as a problem, God sees as an opportunity to release its intelligence. But what does it mean I do? It means that I must stay open to these infinite possibilities of good in order for that to show up in my life. Someone once said that every time we make a claim about ourselves that is different from what we would make about God, we are in separation. So part of the secret of this is to stay connected. Dr. Nadine, in one of her talks recently, said, you know, how big is your God? How big is your God? How big is my God? And what I know about it for myself is that when I get sidetracked, it is because I've lost sight of the size of my God. You know, the nature of the divine, the nature of God is infinite. The challenge for us as mortal beings is that sometimes we look at the world through our limited view, through our way of looking at it in a way that might represent fear. I'm reminded of this story of this mother who was a little bit fearful. She had a daughter in kindergarten, and the daughter was walking home one day from school, and Mom said, well, there's a storm coming. I can see lightning out there. I better go walk and meet my daughter from school. So she did that, and all of a sudden she saw her daughter coming. She's skipping, and she's laughing, and she's having a good time. All of a sudden, though, she stops and smiles. A big, wide smile. And then she'd skip and go down a ways some more, and then she'd stop and smile. So the mom, being a little bit fearful, was all concerned. So she said, daughter, what are you doing? You're skipping, and then you're stopping, and you're smiling. Oh, God's been taking my picture, and I'm smiling for the camera. So whenever we get lost, it's real easy to look at our youth and figure out a way out of it. Now, I told you that, well, I want to do one more thing before I do that. I found a couple quotes I'd like to give you today. One is that no matter what the outside appearance, we must cling steadfastly to the knowledge that God is good. Now, in our amnesia, our temporary amnesia, many times we forget that the nature of God is always good. And I didn't say sometime. God is always good. And when I know that, and when I anchor myself in the consciousness of the divine, I will see the infinite possibilities that exist. God is only limited by us. Now, I'm going to give you this thing I told you I would, because otherwise I might forget it. Ernest Holmes said this: my good is seeking me. Now, the question is, am I paying attention? And it might go something like this. Oh, there's all this good here, and things happening, and I'm over here. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what happened yesterday. And somebody said to me 15 years ago that hurt my feelings, and I'm still harboring it. But in the meanwhile, the universe is over here providing all the good there is, and I'm over here distracted with the goo. So isn't it ultimately a choice for us? Good or goo? We're going to summarize now. What? We will always find what we're looking with. We will always find what we're looking with. We can always choose A or B, good or goo. Now, I didn't bring this point out, but I'll bring it in the summary. It's a kind of cheating way to do it, I guess. We can see goo as our stepping stone to greater good. Our goo does not have to be an indictment. We always heal from the inside out. We can react or we can observe. And when we observe, it helps us stay out of judgment. Yesterday's Science of Mind magazine had a quote from Emma Curtis Hopkins, one of the great teachers. She said, "The world will persist in exhibiting before you what you persist in affirming the world is." I'll say that one more time because some of you are taking notes. The world will persist in exhibiting before you what you persist in affirming the world is. So good or goo, it's up to us. Now I'm going to come to a further point of refinement for those of you overachievers sitting out here today. Now, we can do all of these things that I mentioned to you, or we can stop judging as either good or goo. Now, that's the transcendent state. It's one I'm trying to achieve, although I'm still trying to achieve it. And I admit it. I know it's not easy. But remember, you and I hold the remote. We get to control the channel. So, in summary, in one sentence, our good is seeking us. Do we pay attention? Let's have a prayer. Good or goo, God or evil, grace or struggle. Each day, each moment, you and I have the opportunity to choose, to make choices, to live our lives in a way that has the world be a better place, not just for us, but for everyone. When I cling to the goo, I put goo all over everybody around me. So this morning, let's make an intention for ourselves that we let go of the goo. We look to the good, and as we look to the good will reveal itself to us. Oh, such a powerful truth. I know now that that is our way of life, that we all have chosen, and we chose good. We chose God. We chose love. Love, the greatest and only power in the universe. And as I spoke about good this morning, I was really talking about love. Let's place a welcome mat in front of ourselves that on it says love. On it says good. Whatever label we give it, I know that our thoughts, our words, and our actions bless the world. And in the meanwhile, they bless us. For what goes out from us must return. That is the law of karma. Knowing this truth, I bless these words, I bless this prayer. I bless each person here and those who are watching from home. I bless our time. And now, I invite each of you to join me in affirming, and so it is. Amen. Is that you? I show musical reflection.
How about announcements? Let's go there.
You know, it's all good. I'm happy to go wherever you tell me. Okay, announcements it is, and then we'll have the offering. With the elections coming up, I've been asked to encourage all of you to vote. I know I have. I got my confirmation from the county that I had voted, and I know many of you have voted also. But if any of you need a resource to assist you in the voting process, a ride or whatever it takes, I think we had some programs. Did you pass out programs, Reverend Marilyn? They're handouts, yes. And so if there's anything there that you need, feel free to contact the Board of Trustee member or the website at cslparker.org. We have a new class starting this week with Dr. Nadine Rogers, and it is called Prosperous Me. And as we move into November, November is going to be our prosperity month. And Dr. Nadine is having daily Zoom calls at 9 a.m. starting on Monday, October 26th. And it will be for 31 days, and it will be recorded. So if you're saying, well, I can't do that because I've got a conflict, you can record it. It will be recorded, and you can watch it whenever you choose. And so that's coming up very soon. And the other class that I want to talk about is one that I'm offering in November on the 11th or the 14th. That's a Wednesday or Saturday. And it is called Love Without Conditions. And I read this book some years ago, and it really moved me deeply because I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but for me, loving without condition is one of the most challenging things that I know to exist. Because we always want to put a little condition in there and say, well, I could love you more if, or whatever we say. So that one, and then I think that's all I want to say about it. Anything else, Jeanette?
No, other than sign-ups will begin on Wednesday.
That once the e-blast comes out on Wednesday, you'll be able to start registering. And we're going to limit those two classes to 12 students each class just because of managing the graphics of, I think it's called gallery, where you get the gallery going. And really to do justice for anybody, it's good if you don't have too many people there. The other announcement is that, I don't know if you know this, but CSO Parker ties beyond its own organization. And one of the groups this month is the Parker Women's Crisis Center and the Parker Task Force, which are both very worthy organizations. And I just wanted you to know that this center really is an outreach to greater good in our community. So I think it's a wonderful thing. And then I have one more announcement, which has to do with some noise. And Reverend Phil is all ready to go.
I'm so excited you guys are going to get to make some goo into good. Our fundraiser last month was a Loose Change initiative, as you all recall, and thanks to all of your contributions, we earned a little over $400 for our team fund. So what we have today, come on up here. What we have today is, what we are inviting you to do is, this is what is known as the, what do we term this one, Heather? The peace bill?
Yes.
The peace bill. So what we're asking you to do is to exercise your right to vote today by passing some bills into these cans of change, which will remain making noise until such time as they have been silenced by your cold, hard cash. Is everyone ready?
Yes.
And so it is. Make some noise. Let's make some noise in those cans. Come on now.
Right? We can go ahead and take the offering. You're going to
Yeah, so I'll do a little prayer and you do the music after that? Or?
yeah.
All right. Thank you for that, Dr. Vern.
Thank you, Reverend Phil, and teens, yes. Well, we've silenced that group with money. Now it is time for the other offering this morning, and at this time, I'll do the offering prayer because last time I messed it up pretty badly. Anyway, so in this moment, my good comes to me enough and to spare. To give and to share, I can never be exhausted. My good can never be depleted because that source from which my good comes is inexhaustible. So now we bring forth our offerings as our musicians give us an offering blessing song.
Receive what I invest.
I want to thank all of you for being with us this morning for our celebration. And it really is a celebration of all that is good. I've neglected to show you this in the talk, but I'll do it now because I have that prerogative, I guess. One of the students in the Power of Now class said, you know, why don't we step outside of the political arena with all the hatred and strife that there is? So she started a campaign, and I participated in my own way. And so she said, let's look beyond political parties. Let's look at going above. And how about this one? Vote for love. So as we go out into the world this week, join me please in our own, let's just call it a treasure hunt for the good. A treasure hunt for looking beyond the conditions, looking beyond into the realm of the kingdom of heaven, where all possibilities exist, and when we name it good, it is good. So let's celebrate this life that we are. Go forth and enjoy your week, and every blessing to each of you. That's it.
Into a personal investment that I like to refer to as sacred and faithful giving. Knowing that there is an infinite flow of abundance that is operating in and through us in life at all times, no matter our present circumstances, we can open to expand our consciousness of acceptance by giving with a grateful heart. And you know, when our souls are fed by the practice of giving through this knowing, we can be certain that our gift both blesses the giver and the receiver many, many times over. So for your convenience, we provide you various ways in which to make your contribution. You can click at the box at the top of the screen. You can donate on our website or via Zelle, or if you're more comfortable, you can mail a check to our new mailing address. You know, we receive and appreciate your gifts and your tithes, and we thank you for supporting us to continue remaining a vital and thriving center in which you can find your spiritual nourishment. So I invite you now to affirm your prosperity through the power of your own word by saying this with me. I attract all good things into being The power of my faith enhances my experience of health, relationship, finance, fulfillment, passion, purpose, and joy. The creative source in my life is in a constant state of perfection, freely giving itself as my bounty. And so it is. And now, our offering song.
To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is a thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibility, and heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace,